Brothers and sisters, we're making history today. And the minister has agreed that he would come out and at least talk to us briefly. And it's really not a lecture, it's a discussion. And I think that the minister has even agreed to take a few questions, brothers and sisters. So I wanted to thank Sister Yamaya Bourdain, who represents NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers, and in Cobra, Ms. Taversa Ricks, and Ms. Arnold, the sister who's the advisor for in Cobra, made sure that we had this event today. She was the person that signed off, who took a stand with no problem, with courage, and signed off that we could have the minister here on our campus today. Let's give them a strong hand. Brothers and sisters, just a few words about Minister Farrakhan, because he's the principal speaker, and I understand that. But I would be remiss in my duty if I didn't at least present and share some things with you because of his humility he will never tell you about. Brothers and sisters, do you realize that Minister Farrakhan has stood for every black leader that has gotten in trouble, even those who has disagreed with him? Didn't you see him take a stance back in 1984 on behalf of Reverend Jesse Jackson? Didn't you see him stand up for Reverend Dr. Henry Lyons at the Baptist Convention USA? Didn't you see him take a stance on behalf of former U.S. Federal Court Judge Alcee Hastings? Didn't you see him take a stance on behalf of Alderman Streeter? Didn't you see him take a stance consistently? Every time black leaders have gotten in trouble, he has come to their rescue and come to defend them, not only with his words and his organization, but even with his own money. That's the humility. He's never going to tell you about that, the sacrifice and the struggles. Here's a man who was on his deathbed a year ago, but Allah realized and brought him back to us and realizing he had a greater work to do. So brothers and sisters, at least we can be found as serving and obeying and trying to listen and help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And how can we help him? By taking part in the Millions More movement. Brothers and sisters, he's here as a result of the 12th anniversary of the Million Man March. He called for 1 million and almost 2 million showed up. Brothers and sisters, one of the impacts of the Million Man March, and I'm just going to say this real briefly, but the minister, Allah blessed him to call for the Million Man March, and almost 2 million showed up on a Tuesday, October 16, 1995. What are the results of the Million Man March? Over 1.6 million registered voters. Crime went down in every major city. According to the National Association of Black Social Workers, there were over 10,000 cases for adoption of black children. Every organization saw an increase in its enrollment and its new membership because the minister asked them to go back to their respective communities and join in an organization working on behalf of black people. Also, you saw where licensed black businesses came into existence. You saw black families, men and women, start to go back and reach out to each other and come together as family. Brothers and sisters, the question is always asked, what manner of man is this? Well, the answer is clear. We know what manner of man is this. This is one of the greatest leaders of the 20th and the 21st century right here in our midst today. Brothers and sisters, I won't belabor the point any longer, but brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet. I want you to please welcome the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let's bring him on, brothers and sisters, with the round of applause he deserves. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his goodness and his mercy. We thank him for his prophets and the scriptures that they brought. We thank him for the guidance that he gives whenever a people lose their way. We thank him for Moses and the Old Testament. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel. We thank him for Muhammad and the Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Almighty God. I am a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and as a student, of a great and master teacher, I could never thank Allah enough for His intervention in our affairs and raising one from among us to lead, teach, and guide us that we may become once again the great people that we once were. I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, students and teachers, professors, student leaders, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Brother Muhammad, for your introduction. Thank you, Dr. Brown, for your welcome. Thank you, student leaders, sisters from Cobra, for the honor of this invitation. I didn't realize that it has been 28 years since I have been banned from coming to historically black colleges and universities. I guess I was banned because I could make a difference. I guess I was banned because many of our institutions are still plantations. I guess I was banned because if you heard what I had to say, it might inspire you beyond what you think you are capable of doing. I was in the city of Baltimore, and in my hotel room or suite, a brother who is a great basketball player now, playing for the Denver Nuggets, Brother Carmelo Anthony, came to my room. It was the day after my speech. And he said, Brother Farrakhan, I'm so sorry that I wasn't there last night because Mr. Stern, who was over the NBA, advised him not to come to listen to me. And so he didn't come, but he came to my hotel room. And I said, brother, never, ever do that again. I said, Mr. Stern has no authority to tell you who you should listen to. If he has given you or you have received a good education, you're qualified to listen to ideas from whoever the speaker may be, and with your intelligence, analyze what is being said. Cast it away if it has no value, or utilize it if it has value. I said, Mr. Stern would never allow anyone to tell his children who they could listen to. And that drives the point home. Rich, but enslaved. Great basketball players, but just a rich piece of meat that we must keep in a perpetual state of mental bondage. What is it about Farrakhan that is feared? I don't carry any weapons, and the people around me don't carry weapons. My next birthday, I'll be 75 years old. And I know, thank God for that. I never have been arrested for spitting on the sidewalk. The only time I got in a little trouble was I liked to drive fast. And I got a speeding ticket. And that's about the extent of it. I've never stolen from anybody, robbed anybody, deceived anybody. Why am I feared? Because you are still on a plantation. And you still have a wicked slave master who does not desire you to really be free, except that your skills, your brilliance must be utilized in a system that rejects your people. They don't want me here because Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Well, if you are here and are not free, then what truth is it that you need to know that will set you free? The truth is the knowledge of yourself and the knowledge of God, the knowledge of the true religion of God, the knowledge of the time and what must be done. This is essential knowledge to give guidance to your studies. You can tell that our people are being dropped. Most of you young, beautiful students, your parents may not have been blessed to have the educational opportunities that you have. And certainly grandma and grandpa were not so blessed. But sometimes grandma and grandpa have a greater grasp on reality than those of us with all our book learning. Grandma would say, "Child, is this the way you act with all that learning? It would be better maybe, child, that you stayed home with grandma if you're going to act the fool with all that knowledge." Knowledge is not given to you to seek a job to make money. Knowledge is given to separate the human from the beast of the field, to cultivate the rich treasure that God has placed in the breast of every human being. Knowledge frees its possessor. Knowledge gives power to its possessor to remove impediments in the pathway of progress. Knowledge inspires the human to reach for God, who is the best of knowers. But knowledge offered by the former slave master to the children of former slaves, what is its purpose? How come we have so many Bachelor of Science degrees every year, so many master degrees every year, so many PhD degrees every year, but we're the most unemployed, and we're not building factories to supply our own needs? I'm talking to engineering students. That is one of the finest disciplines that you could engage in, engineering. My teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, taught me and taught us mathematics. is the foundational discipline of all knowledge. And mathematics and the mastery of mathematics allows you to become a builder of society. Science allows us to become a builder of society. All other disciplines complement the builder. So if you're in social studies, that's good, but you're not a builder. You're going to work for somebody who's building. If you're a psychologist or sociologist, that's good. But to keep black people away from math and science and engineering is to keep you always looking to them for a job rather than fitting you out with the necessary material that you can create jobs for yourself and your people. They have let us go. There's no more jobs. The jobs that used to be ours in the factories, they're overseas now in cheap labor markets. Our Latino family, they're glad to come to America to work for less. And it's not that they are just desirous of coming. Corporate America wants to bring them here because they will work cheaply, and the bottom line of corporate America will become greater, so they're busting unions, and you, who have been the last hired and the first fired, are now without a job. So now you're coming out of college, you studying black studies. That's beautiful. But who needs it? Where are you going? Well, I can get a job at Clark, at Morehouse, and some other black institution to teach black studies. Okay, it has value. I'm not denying it. Well, I am a music major. Beautiful. But that's all that they love black folk to do. Play football, play basketball, run track, make music. That's non-threatening to white supremacy. But when you say, no, my major is mathematics, let's see if we can get him out of that. Oh, Johnny, mathematics is so difficult. And they'll make it difficult for you. And when you're an engineering student, look how many start and how few finish. And look at this campus. How many young sisters are here? Where are the brothers? Where are they? They're on the corner. They're in jail. They're in Iraq or Afghanistan. What is the hope for you beautiful young sisters with all this desire for growth in knowledge and your male counterpart is not on the same page? There is a plan of destruction for the black male. I'm not going to get into that today. That's tomorrow night at the Civic Center. But what I'm going to say to you in closing, and then try to answer questions, you are very, very valuable to the future of our people. This beautiful campus, Clark, AU, Morehouse, Spelman, this is rich. This is powerful, potentially. But this is controlled, unfortunately. And anybody that can make a real difference may be persecuted. Because in order to make a real difference, you have to inspire black students to want to build for themselves and their people, not to come out of here begging the former slave master to give you a job. That is not what God brought you here for, to beg somebody else to do for you what you and I together in unity can do for ourselves. In the Bible it says, "O thou sluggard, go to the ant, study its ways, and become wise." There's no bread line or food line for ants. You know, they work. They fight, they protect. My God, go to the ant. Here we are, an intelligent people. Foxes know how to go and get some food. Birds out there getting worms. Everything that God created, feeding his young. We on the welfare line. I mean, think about that. A college student with a BS degree. Can I get a job? He hired a white person over me, and I'm more qualified. Who's the owner? He's white. Why are you going to fault him for looking out for his own? What's wrong with you? That we're not making something to look out for our own. See, this is the sickness of miseducation, because wrong education makes you want to imitate your former slave master. You want to be white. You don't want to be what God created you to be. So you want to talk like the fella, walk like the fella, think like the fella, act like the fella, and get nothing in return but a nice house in a nice neighborhood, a nice car. But your people, the masses, are suffering. You're written of in the Bible in many, many places. I'm just going to use one place today. You know, Jesus, and many of you who know that I'm a Muslim, you say, well, why are you talking about Jesus? Because I love him, because I believe in him, and because I think I know a little bit about him. I'm walking in his footsteps. He was hated without a cause. What have I done that I'm not liked? Jesus was rejected of men. Why can't I come to Clark, Atlanta, and talk to my own family? Who's pulling the strings? And it's been 28 years. Students have wanted me to come, but administrators say no. What's wrong with Farrakhan? His pants are not sagging off of him. He don't have reefers and crack. He doesn't even smoke cigarettes. But he can't come and talk to the most precious aspect of our community, the students who love the acquisition of knowledge. Jesus one day was talking to his disciples, and he said, go and you'll see an ass and a colt tied with it. Loose the ass and the colt, and if anybody asks you about it, tell them that the master has need of these. Just think about that for a minute. Anytime a donkey or a young colt is tied, that means somebody owns it. But evidently wasn't doing the right thing by what they owned. So Jesus is not a thief. But he told his disciples, untie it. Well, if you go and untie a cow from somebody's farm, they're going to say, look, call the sheriff. There's a thief here untying my cow. So Jesus knew somebody was going to challenge the disciple. And he said, well, if anybody say anything to you, tell them the master has come and he has need of these. If you come out of here with your degree, you most likely will seek employment. If you're an engineer, you'll get a job in an engineering firm. But they won't be working for you and your people. They'll be working on projects that your people have nothing to do with. Really sad, you know. Civil engineers are busy constructing new highway developments all over the country, but if you drive down the highway and look, see how many of us are doing the work. Very few. So you'll be an engineer in an engineering company that's not doing nothing for your people, but you'll get a salary because I'm picking your brain. And some of us will become teachers, and some of us will become lawyers. But God, how did you get out of here? There's so many student loans, and by the time you get out, you're in so much debt, especially the medical students. And oh, brother, so now I'm $100,000, $150,000 in debt. How you gonna pay it? Come on, slave, come on. You work here, and you can pay your debt. See, debt is another form of slavery. They're hitching you already to a plow that you don't even know about, but the plow is not your plow working your land, working for your people. Your plow is, I'm going to suck your brain out of the college to work for something that your people will never benefit from. You're in debt. And debt is another form of slavery. This is how you hook people. Now you're just a student who got credit cards. Bless your little hearts. They knew the minute you got here, you didn't ask for nothing, they sent you something. And you were so happy to get the credit card because you could go downtown and get a few nice things. And all of a sudden the debt start piling up, the interest rate piling up, busting your credit now. Some of you are in debt, can't pay it, and your credit is ruined before you even get started. This is a system that don't care nothing about you. But look, you're in debt, but guess what? Have you seen a book called The Confession of an Economic Hitman? Have any of you read that book? You have? Yeah. Well, listen. Go to Africa. See how many African countries are in debt right now to the IMF or the World Bank. They come right in and they say, look, we can help you build your infrastructure. We can help you with a seaport. We can help you with electricity. will lend you so many billions. Now, this is like an offer that they can't refuse because a politician wants to be reelected. And if he's reelected, if he can show, boy, look, I gave you electricity. Look, you got infrastructure. You got roads. But guess who built the road? It was Halliburton. The same fella that loaned the money to Africa sends the workers to build, not the African. And the debt and the interest on the debt ties up your natural resources. Oh, Lord. College students, you got to be agents of change. You can't go the same route. You have to be agents of change. Jesus sent the disciples. Is a donkey. He's tied though. But a young colt is tied with the donkey. Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. The donkey represents the unlearned masses of the people. That's not you. The colt is the offspring of the horse, and the horse is one of the most intelligent of the beasts. And here's the young colt at Clark, Atlanta, at Morehouse, at AU. But he's tied up. He's got a lot of debt. The enemy wants to use this young colt to build something that the young colt will never own. But the master has come. He said, untie them. By what power do you say untie them? Because the master knew the time. We were only supposed to serve 400 years in bondage. The 400 years is up. You are here as a hostage. So we have the right to untie our people from a system that has destroyed them. But who will untie them? It takes strength. It takes a will to see your people free, even at the cost of your life. But if you don't want to pay the price for freedom, then all you can do is put a picture of Martin Luther King on the wall, a picture of Brother Malcolm on the wall, a picture of others who paid the price. As a college professor, we are the teachers of these young colts. As a college professor, I don't know whether you have tenure or not, but sometimes the desire for tenure means you won't rock the boat. But sometimes this is a boat that needs to be rocked because our future is at stake. Our people are dying as we speak, and their saviors, their potential saviors, are right on these hallowed grounds. I sat with the rappers yesterday, beautiful young men and women who are really leading the world, but leading the world in cultural degeneracy. But they're not bad people. They're beautiful people. They just need to be turned in a positive direction. You that love Brother Malcolm, he was my first teacher. I never had a better one than his teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But Brother Malcolm tried pimping. Brother Malcolm tried thugging. Brother Malcolm was arrested and was imprisoned for 7 years. And after 7 months, 7 years, 7 days, he came out. But a word came into the prison that turned Malcolm around. He only went to the 8th grade of school. But when he got turned around at Norfolk State Penitentiary in Massachusetts, he started with the dictionary. And he read the dictionary from one cover to another. And every book that had value, Malcolm devoured it. Because reading is the way out if you know what to read. When Malcolm came out of prison, he was a new man. I was with brother when he debated the best at Harvard Law School. I was there. And they trotted out Doctor of Law, and Malcolm ate him up. I was with him at Yale University. They trotted out their best, and Malcolm ate him up. Because Malcolm was taught wisdom that took him outside of the prescribed box that they put learned men and women in who are black and brown and poor and white. Because you must be the subject of a group that rules and passes the rule on to their children. This is not a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is a nation of the rich, by the rich, for the rich, and to hell with the poor. Make them your slave. At some point, we have to develop the strength of character. This can give you knowledge. But what about character? I came through a historically black college, Winston-Salem State Teachers College was where I went to school, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I wanted to be a Q. Yes, I did. But I was a rebel. I was a rebel. Because I went during segregation. My parents were from the Caribbean, so I would go in white stores that didn't permit blacks and put on my accent and talk like I come out a different school and thing. And when I talk like that and they can't understand a word I say, where you come from? So I wasn't one of their Negroes, so they would let me get something. But I would bring the brothers with me to show you how stupid segregation was, how wicked it was. I would challenge it. But the most hurtful thing to me was I was in a teacher's college, and I knew that everyone that came out of that college was going to be teaching in a black school. But there were immoral professors who wanted the little girl's body to give them a passing grade. And I rejected this and spoke against this. So when I became a lamp, and I was on 1 week of secret pro, and they were tearing my backside up, blindfolding me, running me into trees. Now it's time to go on open pro, and somebody threw a black ball. And I went to my room with my aching backside, and I cried. That was the first time I understood, in a small way, the price for standing up for that which is right in the midst of what was morally unacceptable. Now, 50 years later, you can't frighten me. I'm anxious to die for what I believe and live for what I believe. They can't make me bow. That's why they don't want me here. Because if you listen to me, you will not be the cowardly, back scratching, bending your knee, bowing your head. You're going to stand up like a man, stand up like a woman, and demand what belongs rightfully to you. And if this frightens the professors, then don't invite me back, but it's too late.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right.
I'm here now. And I don't mean you any harm, nor them any harm. I have the greatest respect for this institution. I thank God for every teacher, every student, everybody that wants to raise you 1 degree or more in knowledge. But I heard the Master's voice. And I know that the former slave master got you tied, but he don't have nothing for you to do, but the Master has come. And he has need of you because your people, as the Bible says, are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So, about 14 years ago, I was blessed to see the scheme against black men. We in the hood killing each other. So we in the nation mounted a tour called Stop the Killing. And on that tour, I toured all over this country, telling black men that they're about to come down on us. You got to stop the killing. Then I said, well, I was in New York. How much time do I?
Take your time,
I need to stop, right?
No, sir, Brother Minister. It's up to you, sir.
I was in New York, and you remember we had a black mayor there, Mayor Dinkins?
Yes, sir.
But Mayor Dinkins, beautiful brother, but he won, beating up on me. You would hear his announcements, this anti-Semite, Farrakhan, and blah, blah. Well, then the strong Jewish vote and the black vote put him in. I could have gone to New York and defended myself and tore him up. Believe me, I'm a warrior. But I took it because the masses of our people wanted a black mayor. I would not do that. I accepted to be beat up. he became the mayor. 4 years later, it was re-election time. And I was coming to New York to Yankee Stadium. And we were going to put 65,000 people in Yankee Stadium. It was about maybe a month and a half before the election. And I was going to invite him and those who spoke for him to come and talk to the people. They had a committee of black leaders came to me, and they said, Brother Farrakhan, we feel that if you come now with your Stop the Killing tour, it might hurt Mayor Dinkins' chances for re-election. I said, but how could it hurt if I can put 65,000 black and Latino people in Yankee Stadium? Wouldn't that be a help if you could inspire them toward re-electing Mayor Dinkins? They said, well, I'll tell you, if you will cancel that, Minister, and postpone it rather to another time, we all will back you. I said, well, if that is the desire of the black community, I won't come. I backed out. 6 weeks later, the election, and the mayor lost by 65,000 votes. Now, I did come to New York for my Stop the Killing tour, and not one of those black leaders that asked me to postpone and they would come and back me, only one came, and that was the Reverend Al Sharpton. And at that meeting, I said, if I come back just talking to black men, will you men come out? They said yes. I came back to New York in less than a month, and 14,000 black men showed up at the Armory on 142nd Street, I believe, and Fifth Avenue. And while I was talking, it came out of my mouth, we're going to take 1 million black men to Washington. Well, it was out there then. I couldn't call it back. Sometimes you misspeak, and sometimes you God speak, because you're not in control. But after it came out, we went to work. And who was more shocked than I? I came to Atlanta and spoke at the Omni. 19,000 men came to the meeting. That's right. Every city we went into, men poured out. And I chose a Monday. Now, it wasn't a Tuesday. It was a Monday. And they said, well, Farrakhan, don't nobody have a march on a Monday. I said, I know. But I wanted black men to see that if you would atone, not beg, but atone to God for our failure as men to protect our women, to defend our children, and to be good husbands and good fathers, God would bless us. He said, we don't need to beg the enemy for a holiday. Let's create one. And we did. The Million Man March, the donkey was untied, and the unlearned masses came. We had black college students, black intellectuals came. They were inspired too. But it caused a great upset because I'm a Muslim. And I called and Christians answered. Now, when I was in the hotel room, a beautiful AME bishop came in my room. He said, Farrakhan, are you going to use this occasion to proselytize your faith? I said, no, sir. I'm going to use this occasion to call black men to faith and ask them to join a church, a mosque, a synagogue, and an organization. He said, you would do that, Farrakhan? I said, certainly. He said, then what about the money? Most Negroes are interested in money. I said, I will give an audit of every nickel, every dime, every dollar. This has never been done on any march that black people have held. And within 3 months, with 2 CPA firms, we came out with an audit. You can find it on our website. But the press would make you think that Farrakhan did not live up to his word. Now the colt is still tied. That's you. The learned children of learned parents or learned professors. What decision will you make when you get your degree? How will you use your knowledge to advance the cause of freedom? I close. The Master has need of you. He wants you to use what you learn to free your people. Will you do it? That's the question. And all of us are in the valley of decision. Professors, presidents of institutions. Prepare your children not to be beggars for jobs. Prepare these beautiful children to be able to create jobs. Uniting our athletes, uniting our entertainers, uniting the rich among us to pool resources, we can build something for you to exercise your knowledge in. Africa is open to you. The Caribbean is open. The world is open. Trade can go back and forth between us and our people. They need what you have in Africa right now. We are the most educated black people on the planet. It's just that we need guidance and love of ourselves. So I thank you for granting me this time with you. I am honored beyond words to be here with you. And even though I've had a heck of a schedule, and I could have used the rest, to me, the best place I could be is with the college students and future leaders of our people. I thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, sir.
Minister Farrakhan will now take questions, 1 or 2 questions from our student leaders. If you have a question, if you can please stand and please state your question really loud. Yes.
We're going to bring a microphone to you. Here's a brother right here and a sister right there. Excuse me from pointing. I see 3 people.
Hi.
4 people. Yes, ma'am.
The first question is, would you happen to know what's being done in the communities that's helping to strengthen our families as well as the local communities across the United States?
And your second question?
The second question is, who would you believe that a person would need to speak to if they believe that they have the answer to the famine that's going on in the black communities?
Thank you. In your first question, the strengthening of the black family is a must. And we can't strengthen the black family unless we strengthen the black male and also give the female understanding of the problem with the black male. I'm going to say it very briefly, but there's volumes behind what I'm about to say. When we became the victims of the worst and most inhuman form of human bondage, the slave master's greatest desire was to break the black male and to make the female the strength of the family. They did this. If you study the history of Willie Lynch, if you've heard of Willie, he knew how to break the black man and put fear in the black woman for her man, so that even when you had children, your male children, you were afraid of them, particularly in the South, so you sheltered them and they became weaker than the female. The female became the voice, the strength of the black family. Today we have to restore the black male to that honored place that God intended for him, and that is not by lifting weights and, being physically fit. That helps. But that's about giving you the requisite knowledge that will allow you to become the leader in your community or a leader in your home. Now, sisters, when you choose a mate, you choose a mate because they're physically attractive to you, and even some signs of intelligence. But how come the divorce rate is so high? It's because after you marry, you find out, wow, he is not exactly what I thought he was, but I'm pregnant now. And so I'm so disappointed in him, I beat him up. Because there's nothing that can cut a man deeper than the tongue of a female that has discovered his weakness. Can I get an amen? And when you cut him down like that, he can't take it, because he's been destroyed by his former slave masters, and now he's being beat down by the woman in his life. You feel justified in whipping him because you're disappointed in him, but you've never been taught how to help him to become the man that you could love and honor and admire. And that's why I have so much love and respect for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he set up 2 classes one for the men and one for the women. I was a fool. But my teacher made a woman for me who knew how to help a fool to become a man that she could admire. And when I would act up, she would never give me word for word, because see, that's dangerous when you're dealing with a fool. She would take low and wait till the emotion had calmed down and then come right back with the point. And I would see the point. But she was helping to raise me into the man that you see today. There's no man that you see today that could really be a great man if he doesn't have a good woman who knows how to nurture the best in that man. See, and you're not learning that here. You're learning that which makes you, I don't need no man. You so independent now. See, so that kind of attitude is not good for making a marriage and a home and a family. Now, the elders that are here, male and female, the females, I don't care what school you went to for a college education, you had to learn something about home economics. Some of you sisters couldn't cook. I mean, you just don't have that. You beautiful, you sexy, but how long is that gonna last? Because the lady around the corner is beautiful and sexy too. And she don't have a man that's looking at yours. So you better not drive him out the house. You better try to keep that boy. But there's a lot of science to learn to make a family. And that knowledge is with us. And we are anxious to impart that knowledge, because without a strong family, we don't have a strong nation. Now, the second question was the famine. Well, the Bible says it would be a famine for the hearing of the word of God, not so much a famine of bread. Where would you advise our young people to go? Well, there are many black scholars that you can feed from. You have to know what you want and find the tree that has the fruit that you can eat. We are in the genesis of our development, and there are many trees in the garden that you can eat from. And there are many scholars that have brilliant knowledge of certain things. But the deepest knowledge is spiritual knowledge. The knowledge that comes from your understanding of the Word of God. And you have to know who that is that you want to listen to. Now, there are prosperity preachers, and that's a fad today. But I have to tell you that the dollar is falling fast. And so if your prosperity is depending on getting a dollar, what are you going to do when you wake up one morning and the dollar has no more value? That, the scientists of economics say, could happen anytime within the next 2 years. You are not watching that, but we are. So there's a famine of knowledge. And I don't want to be self-serving, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is a repository. He's a fountain of living waters. And if you drink from that fountain, I guarantee you, you will be well fed and your thirst will be quenched. Thank you very much. My brother?
Not like in a disrespectful manner. It's a very touchy issue.
Yes, it is.
And I would like to ask you how you tell us more about this, or being able to relate to them.
You know, this is a phenomenon in our society today. Men are really hurting because they really don't know how to deal with the strength of our women. And sometimes it's easier to just deal with another man. Homosexuality is frowned on by God and the prophets. As a religious man, I can't tell you that it is okay if God rejects it. But you are okay, meaning we love our brother and sister regardless to the lifestyle or the choice of the way they want to live their lives. That's my family, and I love them. I don't try to judge them. I know what God has said in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, and in the Quran. And I will teach that. But I will never use that to make a brother who is a homosexual or a sister who is lesbian to feel that somehow they are worse than I if I'm an adulterer or a fornicator or a crack seller. See, we are all guilty of some sin, and we all have fallen short of the glory of God. So in building the movement, I have never said that one who is a homosexual or lesbian or transgender doesn't have something to offer to the movement. But that's just not my cup of tea. I love women. And I just can't help that. Can't help that. But look, I love my brothers too, but not in that way. So try to handle it in a wise way where you can get the best out of your brother or sister toward goals that make us rise above the things that would divide us. The movement is bigger than our moral dilemmas. Making a movement to free our people is what we need, and let God do the judging. The Bible says, "Judge not, lest you be in danger of being judged." So let's just try to do as good as we can for each other and let God do the judging. I thank the Morehouse Band. I'm going to say it on the radio tomorrow because, you know, they did something to me during the 14 hours that I was on the table. They literally reconstructed the whole lower part of my anatomy because the radiated seeds had literally burned up my insides, and many thought that I would be gone. But God has literally brought me back from the door of death, and I saw the hand of God work through my doctors who were white. And I wasn't in there saying, don't touch me. I didn't care what your color was. If God got the control, and they did a work on me, and they are just as proud that they helped to bring Farrakhan back, that Farrakhan could continue to teach not only our people, because there are many white people today who really want to hear what Farrakhan has to say. I could not have made that walk yesterday if it wasn't for that magnificent rhythm of the Morehouse Band. And let me tell you, I watched that bass drum and that brother that was hitting it. I mean, he had so much spirit, man. Look, you are magnificent people. And just watching you brought tears to my eyes because you just special. And that's what makes it joyous to me to live my life, and if necessary, give my life to see a beautiful people like you free. Thank you for your question and your statement. Now there's one here, and you will be the last one, sister. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Minister, as president of the National Society of Black Engineers, I would like to, I'm hoping that we were able to warmly welcome you as well as the NCOBRA to Clark Atlanta University for the walkathon kickoff. I'm hoping that we're warmly welcoming you now. And I'm very excited that you spoke about the engineering, especially in black community, in our community, because at Clark Atlanta University right now, we're actually looking at our final year of our own engineering department. I'm the last graduating class, unfortunately. So, and I've literally fought the institution, board of trustees, and everyone else since my first semester here, demonstrations and everything else, just trying to get them to overturn the decision. And I also recognize my department advisor because they've stood by us the entire time. And I would like to know, what is it that students can do so that we can see a future in engineering?
Thank you. First, stay here with me.
Yes, sir.
This is what I meant when I said a plantation. See, engineering, all forms of engineering are absolutely necessary if a people are going to be free to build their own society. It's written in the book of Isaiah that we would rebuild the wasted cities. We can't rebuild the wasted cities if we're not heavy in engineering skill. And to close out engineering in a black college is exactly what I'm talking about. They want you in disciplines that do not challenge white supremacy. They know the time. The time is for you to be free to build a society of your own, and you can't do it without engineering. God, it brought tears to my eyes to see that here's the last graduating class of engineers here back into slavery, back into those courses that cannot challenge the forces of white supremacy. I'm sorry to hear that, but I thank God that you are out. And I'll tell you what Elijah Muhammad told me. He said, you give me one doctor and I'll produce 100. See, you gotta stop looking to the enemy to qualify you. Once you are qualified, then start teaching somebody else what you learned and qualify them. To hell with what their accreditation means. I have been warmly received. Yes, ma'am, you closed the show.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My question, well, before I begin, I don't know if you know, but engineering is not the only department that is closing this school year. International development, we no longer have international development. We never relations. We no longer have the library of sciences. Those are all the ones they decided to from our institution.
Sis, come on up here and use this microphone, because this must be a colored mic. This is your mic. Go ahead.
When I graduated from the business school in undergrad, I wanted to go into international development, and since the programming was closing, they wouldn't accept any more students. So I'm a public administration master's student, and my concentration is international administration. And I did an internship last summer with USAID in Ghana. My question is, because I am so in debt, I know that I'm going to be a slave to Sally Mae, but I've chosen I want to work for the Foreign Service. For one, because they have loan forgiveness. And two, while I was there, I noticed that it's not many people of African descent working for the United States government in other countries. And then I knew that the United States was shady, but when you go to other countries and work for the US government, they take shadiness to a whole new level. So while I was there, I began to wonder how, in good consciousness, can I graduate and then decide to work for the United States government in Africa, because that's eventually where I want to be. So I want to know what your idea is on that. And because of talking to my professors, what reminded me was I was the only black intern for the USAID that summer. And that's because the director for USAID Ghana wanted a black student. So USAID West Africa had all white interns, and she said she wanted someone that had a connection to the country. So I began to feel that if I could come and just do a little bit of something, in those countries, but I'm still tussling with how can I work for the biggest slave master, even though they're going to forgive some of my debt, and to work in those other countries.
Thank you so much. Let's have a hand for our sister, please. See, these last two persons have put an exclamation point to what I was saying. I'm going to quote a scripture. When Pharaoh saw the children of Israel multiplying, he said, quote, "Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and join on to an enemy of ours and come against us." That's a conspiracy. What was the conspiracy? Kill the male children, spare the female. That's in the Old Testament. That's in the New Testament, when Herod was expecting the birth of the Messiah. Kill all the male children from 2 years old and under. There is a conspiracy at work as we speak to destroy the black male and spare the black female. Just look at it and see how it's playing out. Now, the key point is lest they join on to an enemy of ours. Now, if you notice, every black leader who tried to connect black people in America to black people in Africa was attacked by the U.S. government. You can go back to W.E.B. Du Bois. You can go back to the great Paul Robeson. You can go back to Martin Luther King when he was in Ghana at Ghana's independence, and the speech that he made, and then he came back to America long after the I Have a Dream speech. That man saw the nightmare and he began to deal with it, and that's why they killed him. Malcolm, Africa, a memo by Zbigniew Brzezinski that they never wanted to see the blacks in America tie in to the liberation struggle of your people all over the world. Lastly, but not least, the fear. I'm going to say this because I said it to Dr. Andrew Young when he walked with me, and I was so honored to have Brother walk in the walkathon with me. When Andrew Young became the first black ambassador of the United States of America to the United Nations, Andrew Young made contacts with Africa, the Middle East, and the world. And when he spoke to a Palestinian, and members of the Jewish community literally forced him out, Jimmy Carter bowed and Andy was out. But Andrew Young at that time was the natural leader of the entire black movement, started by his mentor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I said to Brother Andy, I said, brother, had you accepted the mantle, they would have killed you outright, because it must never be that black America is linked constructively to Africa. And when you dare to see yourself not as a Negro on a plantation, but an international person, that your people are all over the earth, and you want international study, you want to study international law, you want to become a linguist, you become dangerous. So they want to close that down. They want to close your science down. They want to close your engineering down. Well, what will this become? A great marching band, beautiful musicians, great dancers, great sociologists, great psychologists, great teachers, great historians, but nothing that will challenge white supremacy. I'm very hurt to hear that, and that's what makes me know that our colleges are under the control of our former slave masters and their children, and until these colleges break free. And that's why they hate Farrakhan, because I know the hand that's enslaving our people, and I'm pointing it out, and I want to chop that hand off, because I know you will never be free until you're free from the control of those who want to control how high you go, how far you go, and where you go. You want to be free? Then the master has asked me to untie you, because he has need of your service. Well, sister. The only reason there's more whites in this program because they want to recolonize Africa. They don't love the African people. If they tell you that, they're lying. The resources that are there, that America needs to be a power in this century, she has to have access to it. Now China is there, Russia is there, and America wants to be there, and they're frightened of Islam. This is a war. We are at war for the minds and hearts of the people. So you can go, but be conscious. I wish I had the money to get you out of the debt, so you could use your international skill to link our people. Let me close by saying I was really happy for my brother Andy Young. He had prostate cancer as well, but because of his contacts, he brought billions of dollars into Atlanta. And Andy is a lot responsible for the new buildings that are going on the AU campus because he was successful in getting the Olympics here and the kind of money. But if Andy had opted to use that influence to bridge the gap between Black America and Black Africa, and all those billions that he brought to a city that still rejects us, we could have been building institutions that really serve the needs of our people, and that's what we have to do now. And in closing, that's why at the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March, we proposed to set up in the movement ministries, a ministry of education, that we can educate our people to serve the rise of our people, a ministry of justice, a ministry of foreign affairs. Condoleezza is brilliant, but she don't represent us. Can I get a witness? She represents the policies of a government that's anti-Africa. So we need our own international representatives to represent us to them and them to us, so we grow together as a family. Stop seeing yourself as a minority. Don't even use that language when you talk about yourself. When you link the people of color all over the earth, you outnumber your former slave masters and their children 11 to 1. That's why in the 60s we never used that kind of language. Minority, the disadvantaged, the permanent underclass. All of these tricky words to describe us. You are descendants of the original people of the earth. You are the originator. And from you came all human beings. All human beings came from the black man and the black woman. You that study genetics. I guess that's not in the school now either, is it? The Mendelian law, that dark eyes are dominant and light eyes are recessive, and dark skin is dominant and light skin is recessive, and you can get the recessive from the dominant, but you can't get the dominant from the recessive. So when these anthropologists wanted to find the origin of man, they may have stopped in Europe, but they ended up in Africa. So who are you? See, when you know yourself, oh man, you laugh at the stupid names that we give each other. That's why we don't want to use the term nigger, because God don't make niggers. God made man in his own image and likeness. That's not a nigger. White folk made niggers, and you can't take the word nigger and make it acceptable. And the word bitch. That's a word you should never use to describe any female. Now, do you know why they use such a term as bitch? Oh, minister, you shouldn't say. No, no, no. I'm going to leave this on your mind. Have you seen the picture, The Omen? See, in The Omen, the little devil child that had the number 666 on him, his mother was a jackal. Well, you know, a jackal can't give birth to a human. But when you are so reduced from the original mind and status that God intended for you, then as the woman that produces a devil, you become a bitch. A female dog. And now look at how your language has deteriorated. The Bible in the book of Psalms says, ye are all gods, children of the Most High God. Now they turn God around. When you turn God backward, you got a dog, and the woman that produces a dog is a bitch. I don't ever want to hear you use that foul word to describe a woman who is in the image and the likeness of God. And even when you get angry with another female, don't you let that word come out of your mouth. You are not a bitch. You are not a whore. You are the mother of all living things, and you should be yourself. Thank you for listening. God bless you as I greet you. Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Minister Farrakhan, before you go, we could never pay you, Brother Minister, but we wanted you to know, and the entire staff that came from Chicago, that we are at least appreciative and grateful for all that you have given in the last 50 years, Brother Minister, trying to help and struggle on behalf of our people. I'm going to bring up Taversa and Yamiah, both students here at Clark Atlanta University, and like I said, they want to share with you some tokens of appreciation, because honestly, we know that we could never pay you for all that you have done.
I don't need any pay.
Yes, sir.
The pay is to see you rise.
Yes, sir.
And be the beautiful people that God created you to be. And if I can see that before I leave this planet, a big smile will be on my face. I have been paid sufficiently.
We are appreciative.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it, Brother Minister. Thank you.
These are my two sisters.
Yes, sir, Brother Minister. I would like to leave you with a little token from the Department of Engineering.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Nesby,
It's heavy in there. What's in there?
it's got some mugs in there as well. We got some gifts for you. And the National Society of Black Engineers holds their great leaders as torchbearers. And on behalf of the National Society of Black Engineers, I would like to pin you as a torchbearer of Nesby.
Thank you. Thank you. I cherish this, sister. May God bless you. My sister.
Well, Minister, we
This
have a...
is in Cobra.
Yeah, yes, it is. The National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America here on Clarkland University's campus. We have a card that says, thanks. May God bless you for all the good work you do. And as the scripture says, my Father will honor the one who serves me, John 12:26. And the students who came today to hear you speak, the political science classes, the business classes, the engineering students, and just students at Clarkland University all signed the card. You see it's kind of mushed up, and they put little notes, and we even have some who started to write on the back and leave their telephone number. Well, we have gifts from Clarkland University for you and your wife. So when you decide to walk or exercise, you can put on a Clarkland t-shirt.
Thank you.
We have mugs for hot tea, or we know you live in Chicago, so we got it with sleeves. And we have Clarkland University ink pens, a pen set. And we have a bag for you and a bag for your wife.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming.
Well, I sincerely thank you for these tokens of appreciation. They may be small to you, but they're very, very big to me. And I would like to see this AU campus free. And although I love the mug and I love the Clark Atlanta University shirt, I want Clark to really be a beacon of freedom for our people, and that won't happen unless we demand that engineering continues, that international studies continue. I don't know what that demand will bring, but I know if all of us see the value of these disciplines to be taught to our students, maybe they will reconsider. But if Massa does not want Clark to be a beacon light of true freedom for our children, then they will only give you courses that you will never be able to threaten the powers that have kept us subjected for 452 years. May God bless each and every one of you. May God increase each of you in knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power. May God bless our professors, our presidents, to struggle hard for the future of these universities, that they are to become beacon lights of freedom. Thank you for the honor, the privilege of talking to you this morning. God bless you. Thank you.